Hi mathematicians, welcome back for our hands-on equations, lesson number 3. Today, for this algebra lesson, number 3, again, you will need your pawns, any blue pieces that you can use. You're going to need your number cubes, and you're going to need your balance scale. Okay, let's take a look at our first equation that we learned how to set up appropriately in lesson 2. So if we read it, it says 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 9. And so on the left-hand side of your balance, you need to go ahead and put 4 pawns representing 4x plus the value of 2. So you're going to use a 2 number cube. And then the equal sign tells us we're going to go over to the other side where we're going to have 3x's plus 9. So in our first 2 lessons, we were using guess and check. And we could continue to use guess and check, but remember, mathematicians like to be efficient. And so today, we are going to learn about how we can possibly use this idea that if a pawn or if an object is removed simultaneously, then the equation will still be balanced. So the word simultaneously means at the same time. So what that means is our equation will still be balanced if we move the same value at the same time. And so we're going to use both hands, and at the same time, simultaneously, you're going to remove a pawn from each side. We want to keep going to make this algebraic equation as simple as possible. So we want to keep removing pieces simultaneously until we are unable to remove anything else. So again, I'm going to grab 2 pawns, 1 from each side, and I'm going to remove them. And I can do that because they're the same value. And then finally, we have 1 more. And then we are left with that. So we are left with 1x plus 2 is going to equal 9. And so we're going to ask ourselves, what can we add to 2 to get 9? And so we know that the value of the x is 7. So what we just did there, moving the pawns simultaneously, is actually a legal move in hands-on equations. Anytime that you remove the same thing at the same time from both sides of the equation, that is a legal move. You're allowed to do that in algebra because it will not make the equation unbalanced. And I suggest using 2 hands. Okay. All right, so let's go back to our problem. And let's go ahead and fill in the information. So we found out that x equals 7. Now we need to check it, but we're not going to check it by just doing 7 plus 2 and 9 equals 9. We actually need to check to make sure 7 works by resetting up our entire equation. So everything that we removed, we're going to go back to our original equation, 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 9. And it's very important that you go back to your original equation because that will help you to make sure that your value is actually correct. So we said the value of x is 7. So we have 7 times 4 would be 28 plus 2 would be 30. And if we go on the other side, we have 7 3 times. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 9 would be 30. And so our check is going to equal 30 plus 30. And we set it up with the original equation so we know that our answer is correct. All right, let's try another one. Remember, before you set up a new problem, you always need to clear your board and start over. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So first step would be to go ahead and set up your problem using your kit. So we have 5x plus 2 equals 2x plus 14. And so you can make 14 any way that you wish. I am going to choose to use 2 7s because 7 plus 7 equals 14, but you could use any combination of number values that would equal 14. 9 and 5, 8 and 6. I'm just going to use doubles. Okay. All right, first step. As a mathematician, remember, we want to try to simplify our equation because guess and check, although we could figure out, is going to take us a long time. So we are going to remember that if we remove a pawn at the same time simultaneously, our balance is still going to be balanced, and we're allowed to do that because it is a legal move. So I'm going to take both hands and I'm going to remove one pawn. I'm going to be able to do that one more time. And so now I am left with a more simple equation. So I have 3x plus 2 equals 14. And so we have to ask ourselves what number would fit in here to balance this equation. And this is where we could try 1. So we could have 3 plus 2 would be 5, but 5 does not equal 14. We could try 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 does not equal 14. 3s. We would have 9 plus 2 would be 11. 11 does not equal 14. 4. 4 times 3 would be 12, plus 2 would be 14. So our x is going to be equal to 4. But remember, before you do your check, you need to reset up the problem to the original equation and then go back and figure out what would your check be. So we have 5 4s, so that would be 20, plus 2 would be 22. And then we have 2 4s would be 8, and 8 plus 14 would be 22. So our check would be 22 equals 22. All right, friends, we'll do one more together before we will send you off to try some on your own. Here's the last one. Remember, before we look at the next problem, go ahead and clear your board, and then you can go ahead and set it up. All right. All right, so first step, let's read it. 2x plus x plus 4 equals 4x plus 1. So let's go ahead and set up this equation. We have 2x plus another x plus the value of 4 equals, tells us to go the other side of the equation. We're going to have 4 x's plus 1. All right, remember, we are now trying to simplify our equations by using this legal move of removing pawns simultaneously at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and use both hands to remove one pawn, to remove 2 pawns, and then to remove 3 pawns. Now I'm left with a very simple equation, which is we have x plus 1 is going to equal 4, so we know that x has to be 3. So I'm going to go ahead and set it back up. And let's check to make sure 3 is the correct answer. 3 times 3 would be 9, and 9 plus 4 would be 13. And 3 times 4 would be 12, plus 1 would be 13. So our answer is x equals 3, and our check was 13 equals 13. Okay, boys and girls, you are ready to try some on your own. So remember today that you are going to try to simplify your equations before using guess and check by removing pawns simultaneously from each side of the equation, which allows the equation to stay balanced. This is a legal move, and it is suggested that you use both hands to make sure that you're removing the same thing at the same time. The first few problems will be new problems from lesson 3, and then you'll have the opportunity to go back and try some work from all of the previous lessons. Good luck, mathematicians.